If you're working a 9 to 5 and dreaming about building a business of your own, then this one's for you. Because I was in the exact same spot, working a full-time, high-stress consulting job and trying to build something of my own on the side. And you know what? I actually did it. I built a real business, full-fledged team, and even landed clients like WeWork and Intuit and made some serious money in the process too. But I made a bunch of mistakes that I wish someone had warned me about. Basically what most first-time founders learn the hard way. So in this video, I'm walking you through everything I got wrong so that you don't have to go through what I did. Now, if you're sitting there wondering who am I and why should you even take business advice from me? Well, my name is Akash Damodaran and I'm an entrepreneur having founded 3 businesses and built them from the ground up into super profitable ventures. One of them, which is a 6-figure business, currently on track to do 7 figures. Another reason why I'm the perfect guy to tell you this is because I built my first business in the F&B, the food and beverage sector, with zero background or experience in F&B, all while being employed at a high-stress, very demanding consulting job at Deloitte. And so I've gone through what you're going through right now, and I know how challenging and daunting the task is. And of late, a few people had reached out on LinkedIn where they needed help with this very same thing, building a profitable venture while staying employed. And so while I was chatting with them and thinking through all the challenges I faced too in my entrepreneurial journey, I noticed a pattern and realized that most people approach building a business the wrong way. Like most folks approach it in the most corporate way possible and ignore the fundamentals and basics to having a profitable business. And to be honest, it's not their fault because I was there too. I'd constantly try to apply frameworks and thinking from what I'd learned from my day job into building my side venture or my side hustle or my business, and it didn't really go anywhere. And so that's why I thought I might as well document this and make a video out of it, because I was sure there would be so many other people like yourself in the very same situation who would be facing this. And so here I am. Let's get into the video. So a quick rundown of my business that I started when I was at Deloitte. So the business was called Tuck Stand, and the idea, the mission statement was to revolutionize corporate catering. It had numerous lines of businesses, from kiosks to daily meals for team members to overhauling their corporate cafeteria and whatnot. We even partnered with Swiggy, which is basically the Uber Eats or the DoorDash of India. And I built this entire venture to a profitable 14-member team, and we had exclusive partnerships with companies like WeWork, Intuit, Mindtree, etc. And then eventually, while things were going great, COVID hit us, and then we tried to pivot, came up with different or alternative ways of providing food to our clients or customers, where we would, have these food options even delivered to their doorstep. But there was too much effort involved, and our team wasn't really reaping any benefits. And so we waited for COVID to go away, but as you know, it took forever. And so months and months and months of effort later, I decided to shut shop and move on. And so here are some mistakes I wish I had avoided. Taking calculated risks with super high odds of success. The first thing I should tell you is to not quit your day job right away with an idea. Like I mentioned in my previous videos, quit strategically. It's not easy being an entrepreneur, so you need to be mentally fit AF. But more importantly, you need to have a source of income, and in this case, having a source of income from a day job definitely helps. This might mean that your days are super long, but that's okay, because at least you have some money coming in and you're also getting fulfilled by you building out your venture. Like there have been numerous times after I quit my job where I've wondered, where is the money going to come from? So I would say in the beginning, it's all the more reason because you don't even know whether your business idea is going to work or not. So there's some strategic ways you can actually, work around this. For instance, I took a sabbatical and used that to my benefit to validate this business idea I had. But since having started more companies, I've realized that there's so many different lean ways to validate a business idea and actually make more money in the process, even before you invest any money. Because fundamentally, if you look at how most people build businesses, and this is something I did as well, was to kind of build out everything operationally, have the entire service stack or the product stack ready to go, and then go figure out how I can sell it. Which in my opinion, now having done this numerous times, is kind of backwards, because we need to first gauge distribution, kind of gauge demand, and then figure out how we can build according to feedback from our customers or potential customers. And in this process, you even get to know if there's even a need for the business idea. And more importantly, will people actually pay for this? Like in my case, I made the mistake of incorporating a company quickly, and I chose like the best way to incorporate it. It's not really the best way. It was basically a private limited, and I also picked up a GST registration because I heard that some of the clients are not going to work with me if I don't have a GST license. I even built out a banger website. I thought through SEO. I did everything before I even actually approached some of my potential clients. But what I should have done was actually just reach out to different people or clients in the corporate space and ask if they'd be interested in, unique and quality food options, and taken orders before actually even building out the website. We're so caught up in building out the vanity and the PR for the company that we forget the fundamentals, and that is we're basically trying to solve a pain point. And so people don't care whether it's flashy or not. If it solves the pain point, they're willing to pay. You have a business. It's plain and simple. And all of this is actually a good segue into not really requiring a business. Now, I'll tell you what most aspiring entrepreneurs end up doing, and something I also made the mistake of doing, which is started thinking about everything I needed for the company operationally and from a business standpoint. For instance, I spent so much time coming up with a detailed business plan. It wasn't used anywhere. I had to incorporate the company, didn't need to do it right at the initial phase itself. I could have kind of, delayed that a little bit. I even came up with an investor deck, but I was pretty clear I wasn't going to require any investments for this because I was planning to keep it bootstrapped for the long run. And coming from a consulting background, I couldn't wait to get my hands on my own Google Sheets or my own Excel sheets. And so I started building out financial analysis, detailed financial models, and financial planning and whatnot, when actually I just needed the bare minimum basic metrics to track a business. And then obviously, because I also came from a tech background, I couldn't wait to build out a flashy website, and not just one page or the landing page. I built out like a 20 pager where there was also a detailed blog to help out with SEOs. I started thinking through the ad strategy and also thinking through how I can improve my distribution. And through the process, I was also thinking whether people would think my business is a legit one if I didn't have an actual app, both on iOS and Android. And oh man, I was just putting myself in such a tough and a tricky situation for no reason, to be honest. Like in all these things, the concept is to build the perfect product and customers will come, which is just stupid. Now I know in hindsight. I actually ended up doing all of them, but no customers magically showed up. This, in my opinion, is a very corporate way of thinking and trying to do things in a more formal way. Sure, you might need all of this eventually if you scale and get to like a 100-member team or whatever, but doing this right at the beginning when you're going 0 to 1 is the most detrimental thing you can do for a business. And so fundamentally, if you don't have paying customers, your business idea is just an idea or a hobby and not a business. This is something most people don't want to address or don't want to hear. But honestly, if people are not willing to pay you money or spend enough time with your product, you don't have a business, you just have an hobby. So it's your job to quickly gauge demand and get people to pay money. Like for instance, I got a GST incorporation way too quickly. There's actually a threshold that I needed to cross for me to get a GST, but you could get a GST right from the get-go, but I didn't need to get it right away. It was literally me having a conversation with one of my potential clients, and I remember the admin of the company telling me that it'll be great if you have a GST. And I was thinking, oh, I'm going to go get the GST incorporated right away so that, she's going to pay me money and they'll be a long running client. What ended up happening is I got the incorporation, I shared all the details with them, they didn't sign, we didn't get them as a client. It was really a waste of time. The GST really didn't come in handy for the next 4-5 months. I would have rather spent all of that time doing something else, especially trying to freaking build my customer base or client base. So it's very, very important in the initial stages to do what is actually necessary for you to have a thriving business. And I think the biggest reason why most people end up doing this is because it's easy. Sure, some of these things could be a challenge for you to figure out, but generally in the entrepreneurship realm, it's the easier thing to do. And I think that's primarily because all of this is in your control. Like anyone can pay and incorporate a company. Anyone can pay and get a GST incorporation. Anyone can build a website these days. Anyone literally can build an app these days with AI. I just think that these are all just excuses and ways to procrastinate. What's actually tougher and more uncomfortable for you to do is to get sales, get partnerships, which requires you to put yourself out there and talk, network, interact, convince people, get shot down, get rejected numerous freaking times. And I think a lot of people are just not willing to kind of put themselves out there and get shot down. Like for instance, in my business, I got some of the best restaurants and vendors to partner with us, but I waited until I had everything I mentioned earlier before I even approached any of them. It actually took me months for me to not just muster up the courage, but also feel confident because I had everything already sorted apparently. But in hindsight, none of the restaurants asked me for company registration, GST license, website, or anything. All they wanted to know was whether they would make money from this. And so what I should have been focusing on is getting more vendors on board, more restaurants on board, and more importantly, trying to sell the idea, sell more of our services, sell more of our products to more potential clients, more prospects, whatnot, right? That part, sales, is literally the backbone of any company. And I think most people tend to avoid that piece and instead do work which is under your control. And so even today, there are people who reach out to me for help with starting a business. And when I walk them through all of this, the first reaction is, let's just build out the website and actually do everything that we can before we reach out, right? And I'm just thinking to myself, you can do all of this, but you probably won't get a single dollar from any of your potential customers. I've actually seen a few of my friends who have built out great websites, great ideas on some random domain, some landing page, and not a single dollar sold. And so with these people who have reached out to me for help, the first thing I tell them is what's first principles here and what's the fundamental piece to get this to be a business. And so I try my best to push them to focus on sales, and eventually they're like mind blown that, holy shit, you don't need a website to actually do all of this. You don't need to show certain authority if you're able to promise your customers or your clients something and actually be able to deliver it within the time frame that you promised them. I'm actually working with 3 people right now to help them validate their business idea and build it from the ground up. If you'd like to also be part of this group and for you to also meet like-minded entrepreneurs, then DM me on Instagram or drop me an email. You can actually also DM me on LinkedIn as well. The next mistake most people make is they're scared about disclosing their idea. This one is so stupid, it's crazy. Like, I have this friend who wanted to talk to us about his business idea. Like, I remember he proclaimed or vocally announced that he'll sue anyone who pursues his idea and there'll be infringement and whatnot. And I remember thinking, dude, no one cares. Like, your idea is only good to you. Like, no one else will ever think your idea is better than yourself. Like, people are the heroes or center of their own universes or their stories. So while they already see the potential and they're making up stories, some of them which end up being true, but most of them are made up and never become realities because it's all in their heads. And most importantly, any business or venture or side hustle requires a shit ton of effort. Like, most people are not willing to do the work, even for their own ideas. So don't worry, your ideas are safe. And I hate to be this person to tell you this, but there's nothing unique or new or novel about your idea. It's just an idea at the end of the day. It's in your imagination. It becomes unique when it takes form in the real world, makes an impact, solves problems, and more importantly, makes money in the process. If you can actually do all of that, then you have an actual unique idea that's doing something and you have a unique business. So one thing I learned is to openly talk to different people about ideas. Like, tell everyone, especially people in the space you're planning to target or your potential customers, and try to get their opinions. It goes a long way. But be careful about taking everyone's opinion, because everyone has ideas and thoughts, and every single person and their mom and their dogs and their neighbors love giving advice. So take it with a pinch of salt and take advice from people who have done it in the past or are doing it right now. Like real gold, because they've actually been through all of that. If you're finding this useful, and even with all this ambiguity, if you're still keen on pursuing your venture, then you might actually be interested in this thing I've put together. It's called 15 things to do to ensure you build a super profitable venture, even if you're employed. Like, things that most entrepreneurs don't talk about. There's a bunch of psychological points, some strategic advice, some tactical, and some habits-based items, all structured to get you to do something of your own that actually makes you money in the process. It's completely free. It's all going to be delivered to your inbox so that you can read and learn at your own comfort. And of course, you can unsubscribe at any time if you don't find it valuable. You can click on the first link in the description and sign up if you're interested. So the next mistake is, it's very important to know your clients and not pick the wrong segment. Like, you don't want to pitch to leads who don't have the money. Like, I'm sure you've seen this yourself. There's a lot of money in this world. I'm sure you're seeing people online, and probably some people you know yourself, who are just spending money without even a second thought. So there are a lot of people who are okay with spending a lot, provided they're gaining some benefit in the process. So in my business model, we were doing what most of these food aggregators do. Like, we were charging our clients more than what they would have paid if they went directly to the restaurants. But also because we're catering in bulk, because it's a corporate segment, we got a bulk discount from these restaurants or vendors because we're buying in bulk. And also because we had a completely different pricing structure with them. And then there were times we would charge a service fee too. And all of this meant better margins. Now, any average person might spend time to understand what the delta or the difference is and all of that and do the calculations, say this is what it's going to cost if I bought it directly from the restaurant and whatnot. But all the clients we eventually partnered with didn't care because we were aggregating for them and being their one-stop shop for all their food needs. So you need to be super careful about who you want to target and come up with your core customer personas who definitely also have the money to spend. And I want to add one thing here. Like, I didn't find my ideal customer base from just sitting at home trying to figure out who my ideal customer persona or what that persona is. It actually came from trial and error. And so I wouldn't suggest spending too much time upfront trying to ideate and spin up the perfect customer segment or persona at your desk. Like, pick a few, go talk to them ASAP, get feedback, improve or double down, rinse, repeat. That's it. Next mistake, hiring the wrong people. I can't stress on the importance of hiring the right people, especially in the initial phase. So initially in my case, I had a super lean team of only interns. Then when we started making some money, I had to start hiring the right people. And in that process, I hired some B and C players. It didn't go well. Then when we started making some serious money, because I had to double or triple down and kind of really do the work, I then hired the perfect A players. And boy, what a difference that made. Like the kind of things money can buy, right? But I cannot stress the importance of hiring the right people, especially in the initial days. It'll define whether you can actually run a business or crash and burn. This also ties into the team dynamic and culture, which is super important in my opinion. And of course, I don't need to tell you that you need to treat your employees with respect. It's that simple. If you treat them with respect, give them a clear idea of what needs to be done, they'll go and get it done. Like, I know of some entrepreneurs who are just so rude to their employees or teammates. Like, don't be those assholes. Like, just because you're the founder or you're the CEO or you're like leading the team doesn't mean that you have the right to put someone down or be super rude to them. Like, just caring a little will go a long way. This actually reminds me of a story from my Tuxtan days where one of my employees asked for 2 days off and she didn't give me a reason initially. And so I asked her, like, what happened? Is everything okay? And she said very openly that she has her periods or her cramps. And so she told me that she can't work. And again, like, talking about period cramps is a little bit of a taboo subject, right? So of course I understood and I told her to take the days off. And I think this was just an outcome of just treating your employees with respect and because we created a safe space for our team. So like I said, first hires are super important. Just ensure that you treat them with respect. Getting too emotionally attached to your business. As an entrepreneur, I'm not entirely attached to my business. Like, don't mistake this for not giving it your all. Like, you need to go all in and work your ass off for sure. But what I'm talking about more is that if something isn't working, whether it's because of something in your control or not, you should be able to move on. Like, quitting is not considered sexy in today's day and age. I'll actually include a clip from one of my podcast episodes where Sarah talks about this. So let me just add that clip here.
Changing your mind is not considered a good thing. The idea that you might change several times over your life and therefore maybe change your career, maybe end a relationship, maybe whatever, it needs to be destigmatized and take away the negative connotations that surround that, I think, because that is something that it's really difficult.
And something that I've learned from the book, The Dip, is that it's important to know when to quit. Like, in my business, I tried everything when COVID hit us, like everything. Some that actually started paying us some good dividends, but the effort needed was just crazy and really not worth it because we didn't even know when COVID was going to end. And that's when I moved on to my podcast where my media house actually started. Like, I tried every single thing I could possibly do with the business, but when I realized that things were just not working, I decided to shut shop and move on. With this business, I still pay for the website actually. I own the mailbox. I still get about 3 to 4 inquiries every week. And I might actually consider kicking things off again in the future if I can get a team around it. But right now, with everything going on in my life, it's not going to happen anytime soon. The final mistake, or maybe it's not a mistake, but something I'd like to tell my younger self is to start sooner. Once I realized that the only way to thrive and be financially independent is to really start a business or own equity in something. And with the kind of lifestyle I wanted, where I can eventually choose to work lesser hours, I think this is the only way. Naval Ravikant said it the best. You're not going to get rich renting out your time.
You're not going to get rich renting out your time. Even lawyers and doctors who are charging $300, $400, $500 an hour, they're not getting rich because their lifestyle is slowly ramping up along with their income, and they're not saving enough. They just don't have that ability to retire.
Especially in today's day and age where we have hyperinflation, it's important for you to figure out how you can make money and also kind of remove yourself from the process of making money so that you kind of still make money while you're sleeping. Like, you do not have true freedom until you have something of your own. Does that mean that you need to quit your job right away? Hell no. Like I mentioned earlier, be practical, be strategic with your quitting, and strive to be super profitable first. And so in my eyes, there's no real other way for you to be financially independent than owning equity in something. And if you can afford to buy equity by purchasing massive real estate or, lots of stock and a bunch of companies, then great. But if you can't, the best way to go about doing that is really owning a business or owning equity in a business. And another thing that comes with just working for someone else is that you don't really have true freedom, like I mentioned earlier. I hate the fact that I have to get my leaves approved if I need to travel anywhere. I hate that more effort does not equal more pay. Like, your salary is capped at a certain amount, and I hate that I don't get to work on my own schedule the way I want. And so I'm going to do whatever it takes to stay self-employed. But I wish someone had told my younger self that, just go out there, try things out. The earlier, the better. And so if you're in that situation, try things out while you're still employed. Try it out because you really have nothing to lose, but you have a lot to gain. Take it from me. And if you're still here and this resonated with you, then like I mentioned before, I put together the 15 things you need to do to build a profitable business even while working full-time. It's not the usual fluff. These are things most people don't talk about, the stuff that actually moves the needle. Like a mix of psychology, strategy, habits, and real tactics that I personally used across all the businesses I've built. You'll get it straight to your inbox completely free. And if it's not useful, unsubscribe anytime, no hard feelings. Just hit the first link in the description if you want to check it out. Anyway, I hope this helps you out in your entrepreneurial journey. Let me know down below if any of these resonated with you or if you learned something that I didn't mention here. Housekeeping items, hit the subscribe and like button. I didn't really expect this video to be this long, but I'm hoping it added some value to your life and your entrepreneurial journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.